Oh, why, hello, and welcome to issue 691 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Beanarita.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashtani.
And we are coming to you live from the Guardian Games studio in, Guardian Games.
I thought you were going to follow that up with Portland, Oregon.
In Portland, Oregon.
Which will be important soon, since it won't be the only Guardian Games in Oregon.
Oh, that's true.
Ooh.
Oh, exclusive.
Yeah, let's hear the news.
Yeah.
It is no secret that the Guardian Games has been going to open up in Corvallis. It's just been when. And apparently that is now going to be the 1st of May is their target date.
1st of May, outdoor fucking starts today. It's probably not what the owners of Guardian would like to be associated with.
Mm-hmm.
Or who knows? It's a college town.
It is.
You know, it's good times. How is everyone?
Whew, tired.
Yes.
I took the day off from work to do even more work.
More house stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Someday you'll be done with that.
Today was the last day of any serious work that can be done because the house was photographed.
So what you're saying is party time now.
Well, no, because
So when
now
people show up and be
now
like,
I have to
"Wah,
keep
ha,
it
ha, ha,
clean 24/7 because I never know when some stranger's going to want to come look at my house.
That's true. I found a house in my neighborhood that's for sale, but I don't think you'd like it.
I mean, I'll look at it.
It's modern. I know you don't like that stuff. It is 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath.
I have
with a garage.
Already, decided I have to make certain compromises.
So remember, this is some way inside baseball here. So remember when you live in the area, that giant blackberry bramble?
Uh-huh.
So they took all that out. Now it's just a greenway. Those 2 houses they built next to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those.
The long skinny houses?
They're not totally skinny, but they're half skinny.
Because that's where I draw the line, is at the shotgun house.
No, they're not that. Like it's kind of no.
All right,
The
I'll take
shotgun house?
Yeah. You know how when an old house gets torn down, they put 2 super long, super skinny ones in its place?
Why is that called a shotgun house?
Yeah, why is it
Because
called
it's a
that?
long, narrow thing, and do you fit? Okay, and we talked about this. I think not in a roundabout way. On a hot line for food, or like on a salad bar, the chiller machine that holds pans.
Mhm.
There's full pans, and it fills the whole space. There's half pans, and it's 2 squares, one in front and one in back. There's thirds, 1, 2, 3. Or there's shotgun pants, 2 long, skinny ones that fit the space of one.
Is that the actual term, or is this a bean term?
It's a bean term, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. It makes sense to me.
Sure, why not?
I feel like you guys are judging me.
I'm not judging. I'm not familiar with the term.
I'm not either.
Look, Ryan says it's an actual term.
Yep.
Oh.
I see that.
But do you also mean for pans of food, or are we talking real estate here? Right.
Oh my God. I know. I know shotgun weddings, shotgunning a beer,
Mm-hmm.
and then shotgun.
A shotgun is a long, skinny thing. I think that's where that,
Which is weird.
that type of use of that term comes from.
I feel like it should be called a rifling, because not all shotguns are long, skinny things.
They're not.
No, not if you got to do some riot control, or if you got
sawed-off shotguns are a real thing.
or like if you're sent
that's not a regular shotgun. It was long and skinny, and then someone sawed off part of it.
But you can buy them 12-inch barrels ready to go.
I don't think I've ever thought of this shotgun as long or skinny.
If you do
Long and
game hunting,
fat.
if you do like quail or duck hunting, yes.
So some shotguns are rifles, but not all rifles are shotguns.
Well, all shotguns are actually rifled, which is just what you do to the barrel.
Oh yeah, that rifling is a term for the inside of a barrel. It doesn't have anything to do with whether or not a shotgun is a rifle. And I'm
Oh my God, we're gonna get such emails from like our wanky libertarian listeners. It's gonna like the comment section is gonna turn into Reddit. Like, please inform Cable if he's going to speak about these things.
Yeah.
Like I was on a forum one time because I was asking about something about a shotgun I inherited, and I accidentally used the word weapon somewhere in my paragraph of, giving a situation, the first 3 responses were like, first off, what you have is not a weapon. It is a sporting rifle, sporting shotgun. Second, and I wrote like, it's a weapon. You guys just don't want to acknowledge that regardless what you use it for, every gun of any kind is a weapon. It has one job, to destroy.
Yeah.
Quit trying to justify it in your brain that it does. Yeah, sure. This one's better at destroying quail. This one's better at destroying humans.
Any device that is designed to hurl projectiles with the intent of killing or maiming is a weapon.
Yeah.
Other things can also be weapons that are not guns.
I know. I always like the, well, would you consider a hammer a weapon? Well, that is not its primary function.
But it sure as hell can
But
be.
it should be now. If I went to like some fucking Cabela's and all of a sudden I saw a section called fighting hammers, then yeah, what's that one? That's my fighting hammer. That's a weapon. What's that one? Oh, that's just my little ball peen hammer for when I'm cobbling shoes. But down there is my fighting weapon.
That's what you use your ball peen hammers for, is cobbling shoes?
I actually don't know what ball peen hammers are used for.
Sometimes finishing nails.
Oh, it makes sense to flatten them.
Right.
Yeah, I use my ball peen for little things, like when I'm gonna hang a picture and I've just got a little nail.
It is definitely for more fine head nails, so that
like for shoes.
Yeah, yes, a ball peen hammer would be used for. It sounds just like that, too.
As opposed to
Also,
a
it's fun
hammer.
to say ball peen.
It is a fun
A ball
word to say.
peen hammer could also be for fighting.
It could be for fighting.
Like the difference between, like a broadsword and a fencing sword.
That's the thing. Most things they're built for one purpose. That's why I don't have a lot of good luck with my crossovers.
Right.
You know why
Yeah,
we're never actually going to get flying cars?
Specialty design.
Because cars are good at one thing, and then planes. Like you can't mix the two. The same reason why we're never going to have a good amphibious car. Because you know what's hard to do to a car to make it work really well on the road? Make it fucking float. You know? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
That's why I didn't buy one of those folding phones the last time I was up for a phone. Like, it's not a great phone and it's not a great tablet, but it does both.
Oh, I see what you mean. All right. I was like a flip phone?
I should have sold that differently.
Yeah.
It can be a phone or it can be a tablet, but it's not great at either one of those things.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, if they designed a shotgun that was first meant for, I don't know, some light home repair, okay, fine. Maybe that one's not a weapon first, although it might be.
I mean, anything can be a weapon if you put your...
I've seen The Wire. You're damn right anything can be a weapon.
So that person was being really pedantic.
You can technically garden with a shotgun. You can buy the shotgun shells that have seeds.
Yes.
And boy, do I want to do that one day.
A gun can be a mousetrap.
I don't think...
One time.
I don't think I have anything to add to this conversation that's not going to get me on a list, or get a slew of commentary from listeners that I don't care. Yeah. So
what it all comes down to is the fact is that Bean hates tall, skinny houses because they shotgun her.
Yes, they do.
No,
and she wants to take a ball peen hammer to them. Put them in their place.
I wasn't sure if she meant it was a house that you could easily go through with a shotgun and clear the house.
You know what? That is true with a skinny house.
It is true.
I don't think that a shotgun is a good house for clearing a space.
What?
Because don't they only usually hold like 2 rounds and
No.
then you gotta reload them?
No.
I'm not a guns person.
Are you talking legal within the state of Oregon or just fuck it?
Oh no, I don't know what the rules are.
I can almost guarantee like a military grade shotgun probably holds at least 12 shells.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, that's
assuming you don't have one that's
got
got a fucking clip.
Yep.
That's probably plenty to go through a house.
Yeah.
But no, a shotgun house probably wouldn't be great for like trying to clear because again, you're really only going in one direction. There's no corners. You can't there's no sneaking up on one another. So it's not really, I don't think it's effective for either the person clearing or
if
the people
I'm clearing the house
cleared.
with the shotgun, it's up to the other people to get out of the way.
Yeah, that's true. There's only so many defensible positions in one of those tall, skinny houses. There's not going to be a lot of
great for the people
But what I
living
mean
in
is
the
that they
skinny.
also can see you coming.
I mean, that's the crapshoot on all kind of, breaching.
That's exactly that's how I like intimidating my foes.
Straight
I
on.
want them to see me coming. And
Cable was like the Terminator. He's not really fast, but all you hear is dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I'm also very fast.
And he
Oh, then like a T-1000,
but only his arms move when he runs.
like Tom Cruise.
Neither one of you have actually seen me run before, have you?
No, it's true.
Okay.
No.
Let's get into shenanigans and record. No, never mind.
You've seen me run somewhat recently,
Yes.
but you did not run at all.
Oh yeah, I did.
on the other hand, almost lost a lung.
I ran the other direction to get the ghost to chase me.
Look at you.
And that's why I said to all of you, run, and pointed the direction that you were supposed to go. And then I was getting the attention of the monster and ran the other direction. I ran twice the length. I ran twice as far as the rest of you did, and then doubled back and still caught up with you.
Rude. Show off. Brag.
You know what could have slowed him down?
Shotgun
Or a ball peen to the knee.
or ball peen to the knee.
Either way. That's right.
This is a weird start to the show.
How did we get on this?
In a way it is,
You-
but in a way it isn't.
You did this.
If you consider the comic and the folks we're going to interview, because I bet you they all also have thoughts on shotguns.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
true. Probably way more informed than any of us.
At least one of them. I'm pretty informed on them, except the time when I called it a weapon. And I don't know, like
It's still a weapon.
rimfire.com/forums,
We don't.
Second Amendment Wookiee Thruster 69 got all butthurt.
Second Amendment Wookiee Thruster is a great screen name. I love that.
It's pretty awesome.
I don't really know where to go from there.
I don't either. Well, we are going to have some guests on.
Correct.
Who's going to be on the show tonight?
We are going to be joined by Greg Rucka, Eric Trautmann, and Mike Henderson.
That's a lot of people.
Not
It's a
one,
lot
but
of people.
3 guests.
Yeah, here's where
We're
we
just
find
gonna
out.
sit back and let them talk, right?
Here's where we're going to find out just how well Restream can handle 3 remote call-ins.
Well, now that you've said it out loud, oh man.
We're cursed.
We're jinxed now. I hadn't really thought about the technical side of it.
Okay, that's true.
And now I'm worried.
Well, I mean, whatever.
It is what it is. We'll
Sorry, I'm reading almost out of fire cow. Ball peen hammers. There's an obvious ball end. The other side is a
The
traditional
peen end.
shape, suggesting that a standard shape is a peen hammer. I walked right into that, didn't I? I hate my life. Also, anyway, any listeners out there, if you're hiring, someone on this show needs a job real bad. And by someone, it's the person talking right now. It's me. I need one really bad.
asking for Emmy.
You know that whole thing about buy a house, you'll have lower taxes. Turns out that's not always true.
Not to start.
Not to start,
It's not that
especially because we had to do certain things to buy the
extenuating
house.
circumstances. Yeah. You guys really.
Hey, you know what's
Went
annoying though?
further
If
to
we'd
a
have done
corner.
that for our second vacation home,
Mhm.
it would be considered a financial investment, and we wouldn't have taken as big of a hit
Of course.
because America.
Right, because second houses are for rich people.
And yeah, you want to go back to shotguns, Cable?
It's either I go down the anti-capitalism route or we talk about shotguns some more. What? How
I
about
mean, they do go hand in hand. Just ask a couple of well-meaning folks.
Oh,
John Brown felt the same way.
I see what you did there. How was everyone's weekend?
It was okay.
I did a bunch of work on my house.
Okay.
I went and played board games at the Workers Tap,
Hmm.
which is a cool pub. I really like that place.
Where's it at?
It's
It's over there. Yonder.
Alder and 12th, Southeast. It is officially Portland's only, basically like union and Bolshevik bar kind of thing. Like they have like union night. If you show up with your union card, you'll get a discount. They have servers night. You're actively encouraged to have meetings there to plan what you want to do. And then it's, it's regular like bars and stuff, it's, beer and whatnot too. It has basically what they call the socialist library, topics on everything that isn't, Forbes magazine.
It looks very, it looks like what you see is what you get.
Yeah, it's cool. And there's a neat thing about it. Both bathrooms, they have signs up saying, have you overdosed or have you seen an overdose? Go to the bartender. They have sprays to help because they're like, we will not call the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll call an ambulance if they have to, but they will not call the cops.
Right.
And they even sign that's like, if you're having a problem, do not call the cops. It will be dealt with. Like it's a cool little place. Greg, One Ring Monster, and Phoebe, who is Bean's Thunderdome opponent when she's away. We went and played. We played Kill Dr. Lucky, played a couple card games, but we were in the library room on this table, and we had a lot of fun drinking our beers, playing our games, whatnot. But with Kill Dr. Lucky, we all got into it. We're like, let's try to murder him, and we're screaming murder like every few minutes. And there's this elderly white couple sitting by the windows. There's really no other way to say this. They're the very annoying older white liberal that wants equity for all, but like you have to protest the right way. If they just did it the right way, like we did in the 60s, everything would get done.
Shut up.
Yeah, so it was kind of that. We just had a blast, like making them incredibly uncomfortable by screaming murder every few minutes.
That's why I like eschew the label of liberal. It's like I know that I was definitely liberal leaning, but I'm definitely going full on leftist.
Right. Our guests are going to show up in the waiting rooms. We'll wait for the rest to show up, and then we'll bring them on.
Sure.
All right.
And according to Keith Baker, they can hear us.
Yes, they can.
Yes. So that means they know we see them.
And we can't talk shit. I mean, we can. They will get their revenge once they get to be on air.
Right. So,
but also, like again, back to that, I highly recommend going to Workman's Tap. It's really cool.
Yeah. I think I didn't hear
Workers.
My brain, I did not hear you say it's a converted Victorian. So it's got all these little like rooms with these little nooks and crannies. It's really cute.
Yeah.
Also.
Towards the tail end of the Victorian era, but yeah, it's cool.
It's a cool building.
Yeah. The only downside is the upstairs is like super steep steps that are good sobriety checkers. You know when you've had too much, when you can no longer go downstairs.
Right. Or you lose your chiclets.
Oh, right. For a minute, I was like, they don't have chiclets there, but then I went, oh, teeth. Never mind, I got it. Damn it.
You lose your. What are you doing that you
chiclets?
Yeah.
No, I understood. I got that.
If you
metaphor.
fall downstairs and you're drunk, so you don't know to catch yourself, and you land on your face, and you'd break your front teeth. You lose your chiclets. Mm-hmm. Why is everything I say so hard to understand for you, Cable?
No, I got it. I got that.
No, specifically Cable. I think Cable is the only one having a hard time with the way I say things.
It's not the way you say things. It's that I have not had these experiences. I have not fallen downstairs because I've drank too much. I have fallen downstairs. In the cases where I've fallen downstairs, I was also not in danger of losing my teeth.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I just outed myself.
Look, I was maybe like, I'm with you, Bean. I get it.
All right.
I not downstairs, but I did once trip while running, and I didn't catch myself at all, and I broke a tooth. This tooth was broken for like 10 years. I finally got it fixed.
So now you have a whole chiclet.
Now, yeah, I'd been drinking and I was running, and I didn't think to catch myself in time, and broke a tooth.
Yeah, it's a really fun pub to go to. I highly recommend
Workers Make fun of Bean Day.
I'm not making fun of you.
I feel judged right now.
Okay, I'm just gonna go then. It's fine. I'll just sit here. I won't ask any more questions.
Okay. Are we still waiting for the rest of our guests?
Give it a few minutes, and
right.
we will have. Oh shit! No, we're not. I need to learn to scroll down.
Oh,
let's bring our guests on.
Okay.
Why, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Making sure we can hear everybody here.
Excellent. I can hear everybody.
Cool.
Super.
This is where we find out if Restream can really handle this many remotes as it claims to.
Hang on one second.
Got it.
Sorry.
I was like, oh no, we already lost Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say nice view of Mike's ceiling.
What happened to me? What
Sorry.
happened to me?
Thank you.
No, it's cool.
As soon as the podcast stuff starts, then people start knocking on my door.
Of course.
Do not disturb.
Mhm.
What happened?
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
I've been doing
Mike,
this for
what the
What is
hell?
going on?
Did you like switch your camera to your iPad or something?
No, I've had the iPad on the whole time. And
All right. Well, whatever it is, the camera is pointing at your ceiling.
it really is. Why is that happening? What is going on?
Oh, it's moving. Oh, it's moving.
This is the crack team of artists who
Yeah.
bring you
Video.
such,
All right.
such
You know, as long as we're
blistering
not having you
Ah,
on
content.
computers.
there we are.
yeah.
Huzzah.
There we are. I don't know what I pressed.
All right.
There we
Well,
go.
joining us right now is Greg Rucka, Eric Trautmann, and Mike Henderson.
Ow.
Greg Rucka is the award-winning writer behind some of your favorite series and ours, including Lazarus, Black Magic, and now The Forged. Eric Trautmann is a writer for comic books, video games, and role-playing games. He splits his time between writing and running Olympic cards and comics in Washington. Mike Henderson is the co-creator and artist for The Forged. He is also the co-creator and artist for Image Comics series, including Nailbiter. In addition to his creator-owned work, Mike was the artist on the acclaimed Marvel series Dead Man Logan. All three of them are joining us tonight to talk about their sexy new space opera / pulp mashup.
Did you guys hear that? We have intros now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was real natural sounding, Bean.
Super natural. Yeah,
It was-
almost like nope.
No, no, it sounded like you read it. Yeah.
They actually sound more natural when we don't know the guests. You know, when you know the guests, you're like, you know what I'm gonna say. Like, come on, you know.
Yeah.
All right, let's just go
We'll
back
just
to going
sit here and
like, welcome this jerk.
Yeah.
What are you here for?
That would have been entirely appropriate. So,
Yeah. Well, we got.
oh, it's you, schmucks.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for finally showing up.
Well, first off, Greg, it has been far too long since we've had you on.
Dude,
And
it's been like 15 years, I think.
something like that.
Yeah, I think I was 20. I think I was about 28, 29 last time. I was on the show.
4 times.
Yeah, I had hair.
Eric and Mike, cool to have you guys joining us finally. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
So, see, normally we just ramble on and stuff like this, but
Well, I mean, we can do that too, but
Yeah, nothing's gonna stop you. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
don't. I noticed that cable hasn't altered anything since we've arrived. So you know, I mean,
Well, you missed our whole conversation about what counts as a shotgun and if there's a such thing as fighting hammers. So it was a weird intro.
I defer to Trautmann for such answers.
Yeah. Specifically the shotgun.
Yeah.
That is, I actually said, I said one of our guests is going to know a lot about this, and I know which one.
I do want it cleared up. Does a shotgun count as a rifle?
Well, my understanding is that typically you can get away with calling it a long arm, but they're not really rifles. They're not designed to work over long distances as opposed
The
to a
barrel is not rifled. So
I knew it. That's part of why I think that's part of why it's called a shotgun, because it just
yeah,
it just blasts it out as
it just guns shot. Yeah,
a
that's right.
rifle or a handgun has the rifling that helps sort of like with direction.
It's good for xenomorphs.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, for close encounters.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you, Eric. Somebody gets my joke. So first off, congratulations on The Forge selling out in like what, 2 weeks at the distributor level?
No, it sold out in 8 hours.
Oh,
Wow.
jeez.
Yeah, they won.
No, we literally. I will admit to some pride to this. We were at Olympic Cards and Comics Wednesday. At the signing was supposed to start at 1 in the afternoon. This is the store in Lacey, Washington. That is the bodily extension of Gabby Shepard, Eric's spouse, and we had been signed. I think it was about 3 when Gabby went to do a reorder and said to us, "I just got the last 4 issues at the distributor."
Woof.
So
on that.
Now there are 2 ways to look at this staggering success. Yeah. The first way to look at it is we lit the world on fire, and the second is a whole bunch of retailers didn't order it, so the print numbers were low, and then a whole bunch of people came into those stores all throughout the country and said, "I want a copy of this," and they said, "Oh, well, damn." So this coming Wednesday next week, issue 2 drops and the second printing of issue 1. So
when you guys are having a signing at Cause of Monkey Comics, so that's a nice little 1, 2, 3 combo there.
Yeah, though I'm still waiting on details as to what time it begins. So
I will check his Facebook page for you.
Please do, since I will not.
I believe it's 4 to 6. I believe.
All right, Eric.
Sounds about right. But yeah,
you've been warned.
Thanks, everybody.
I also did kind of get that feeling.
Meeting's over.
Like when my trade sold out, I was like, "That's amazing," but then that voice was like, "What if they just didn't print that many?"
Yeah, look, I mean, we have the benefit of having done something that people have responded very well to, and hopefully that word of mouth will carry. And none of us is disappointed that it's sold out, right? The nature of comics, especially starting series, and you guys all know this, is that you're going to get your initial orders and then you're going to get a staggering plummet as retailers go, "No idea how it'll do, and I don't want to risk my neck."
Yep.
So, and frankly, our publishing schedule is not going to be kind as far as that goes, because issue 2 is going to have the drop and then it's going to have reorders. Issue 3 is going to have a further drop because it was ordered before issue 1 came out. Right.
Yes.
So then it'll have reorders, and then there's nothing for 4 months because we're on trade break. Then the trade comes out in September. Issue 4 comes out in October, and then 5 and 6. And actually, I've been having a very interesting conversation with Eric Stevenson over the last 2 days about the trade schedule, some fundamental miscommunications that may have happened way back in 2013 when I first started working with Image about how trades are scheduled. This is the first time I've had a chance to talk to both Eric and Mike in about a week. But we have to have a little conference to figure out what we want to do with this new information, if anything.
Right, I promise we won't tell anyone.
And I know that your audience would just love that.
I mean, they kind of would.
But the flip side of that, just to complete the pitch, like Mike has finished 5 issues, right? Issue 5 is done. And the only reason issue 6 isn't done is because it hasn't been written yet. Because if it had been written and given to Mike 3 weeks ago when he was ready to start on it, it'd be done. Much to my disgust, frankly.
I have that effect.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not as if these are easy pages to do. I mean, full disclosure, I've seen all the first 3 so far, but I've got number 1 in print, and I love it. Mike, there is a lot going on here.
A lot. And certainly early on, I was uncharacteristically slow, but once I
I mean, he was only doing like 10 pages a week. So.
There's no action in this page, but there is so much detail in it.
Oh yeah.
None. That was a lot. That page took me like 3 or 4 days.
Now,
yeah, it was a learning curve because I also the first page of this book was the first page I ever drew digitally. So I was learning to draw digitally and learning to draw all new environments and characters and everything all at once. So it was slow goings, but now I'm sort of back up to my
appalling pace. What were you going to say, Eric?
I was just saying, in our defense, though, Mike has, now that he's more accustomed to working digitally, has started hiding all sorts of fun stuff in the background that we don't even know about until we see it in print. So it's
That's for y'all to find later.
yeah.
There are Easter eggs, comedy jokes. So
jokes.
And also, like, I'm trying to jump around here, but I mean, what first inspired you guys to create the Forged? Like, what was its like inspiration to get it going?
Were we drinking scotch or rye that night?
it was whiskey. It was scotch. I mean, Eric, lead. You got to lead on this because you know me. I'll just keep talking. So,
I'm not entirely sure because neither of us, Greg nor I, have identical recall of how this series happened because we've been thinking about it for so long.
Oh,
Mike.
Mike, man down.
Yeah,
He might be back.
he got tired of you guys mocking him for being so fast.
we didn't mean it. We didn't mean it.
He's like, I'm
finished
so
the
fast. I'm
podcast
not done
hours
with the
ago.
interview.
Yeah, you've done the whole interview already.
Well, I'm assuming he's going to dial back in.
Hopefully.
I will keep an eye out. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Well, no worries. We had been talking for a variable number of years about doing something fun and pulpy. That was how this all kind of started, without any clear idea of what that was going to be.
And pulpy being the operative word, I think.
Yeah. We just something. I mean, Lazarus had been going for a bit, and Lazarus is, I know for Greg, a difficult write, and it's not fun material, right? And as time has gone on and it's become more of a documentary than fiction,
Yeah,
that has not improved anyone's spirits. So something that was, just less serious, and more fun, more pure fun, playing with the form, playing with genre, having stuff blow up because it's fun to blow stuff up. That kind of thing is sort of where we began.
Making jokes about genetically altered gorillas. So
I will say the gorilla joke is what I think kind of saved the series as a concept for us, because we had run at it a number of times. We had 2 or 3 almost complete versions of number 1 back when we were thinking of it as a 20-page simple floppy.
Yeah.
And we kept working on it, and I won't speak for Greg, but I know I kept going, something's not
it
clicking.
wasn't fun. It was not fun. It was too
ponderous.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We were doing a hell of a lot of heavy lifting, and it was obvious. And the nice thing about the issue 1 that came out is that there's an extraordinary amount of heavy lifting. You don't see any of it. Like the world building, I don't know how we managed to thread that needle, but the assumptiveness of the world building works. You just are there, and we didn't have to say, "Oh, it's this and that." Mike has returned.
All right, I had a spinning wheel for a while.
All right, we've said enough nice things about Mike.
All right, no more, please.
Clearly, it's upset his laptop.
I do appreciate that. The readers are just they are dropped into this world, this future, with very little explanation as to why, how. I think we got to win, but
you got to win. But it's such a useless win. It's the year 10,000 and something, and you're like, okay, that's not a reference, guys.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yep.
Doesn't like Dune do that? It's the year 30,000. I'm like,
okay.
Fine,
all right,
sure, that's what it looks like. And I enjoy that. I love being dropped in the middle of something where I'm like, I have no fucking idea what's going on, but I'm here for the ride.
But you don't need it to be spoon fed to you.
No, and that was, I mean, for me, because Eric's right. I genuinely have no idea at what moment we said, "We'll do this. It'll be giant battle armor, badass soldiers, and and they're all going to be chicks. They're all going to be badass women." I have no idea when that happened. I know, like to me, there's a quantum There's an uncollapsed waveform where this could have just as easily have been set in 1935 with a squad of 5 women with Tommy guns,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and Joe just with a huge cigar, and maybe that's our holodeck episode. I don't know, but
of Dex Dixon.
But I do recall that one of the things, and I think it was the 6-stick gorilla joke that really drove it home for me, was and I don't have another way to put this, and I'm not confident enough. This may be very gendered because it comes from a very gendered place for me, right? It comes from being a 10-year-old boy who felt something happened in his pants when he looked at a cover, not at the inside, at the cover of, and not even a full cover, right? The section of the cover that was not hidden by another magazine on a rack, and it was heavy metal.
Oh, it was so,
Mhm.
it was so naughty, but
that's exact. It was, but it wasn't, right? What it was titillating.
Mm-hmm.
And it hinted at being transgressive, right? You didn't want to be caught even looking at it,
Right.
because just admitting it existed might get you in trouble. And I do not think that was a unique experience, or certainly not unique to me. Now, I can't, like I say, this may be gendered. I honestly haven't talked to many women who can say, yes, I had a similar experience looking at the half-naked women painted by Frazetta on the cover of these magazines or whatnot. But maybe they had a similar reaction looking at Conan. I don't know.
And I actually do think, I know a few women of a like a 20-year spread. They both have, not the way Heavy Metal Magazine like maybe titillated a young Greg, but they have memories of being a teen and finding Heavy Metal Magazine and being like, have this thing of like, I want to be that. I want to be this muscled chick with a bunch of, carrying like a machine laser gun, riding a dinosaur in space.
Mhm.
I don't want to be a secretary. And even they would talk about like, but I dare not get caught reading it, because then something had to be wrong with me.
Well, and I am by no means a scholar of the heavy metal / epic magazine oeuvre. But I do recall like the first time I actually was able to read these things, you're like, well, there's a remarkable amount of egalitarianism in the nudity.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of dicks flapping about.
Yes.
And on some level, I really appreciated that, because it was a European sense of sexuality feeding it, not this American Puritanism. All that to say, like, that was when I grokked it. That I was like, okay, that's what we're going for. It needs to have that sense of fun, and it needs to make. I want a 10-year-old out there not wanting their mom to know or their dad to know they saw this. Not that they read it, that they know it exists.
Yeah. Right.
Is going to give them, a rough 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then, and we had run it so many times in so many ways, and we finally got it to something we wanted, and then we couldn't find somebody to draw it. And I had seen some of Mike's, I'd seen plenty of Mike's comics work, but I think I'd seen some sketch work that I think you had put up on your Instagram at that time or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was some of the bondage theme stuff that you were drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking into that and going, oh, okay, it's the guy I've been having coffee with for 6 years, sitting opposite. Literally, if it was a snake, it would have bit me. And I said to Eric, I think we should talk to Henderson. And he was like, oh yeah.
Sure.
And that was the smartest thing we did, because it was basically grab a helmet and dive for cover as Mike went to work. So
It's just fucking amazing. And then, like, speaking of the art and the design, like, it's got a very distinct visual look to it. And I don't even mean just like because of Mike's art style, but even just the design behind everything. I think that's probably something for like Eric and like Mike to talk about as well. But like, what was the inspiration or the idea behind, you know, the ships and the very kind of boxy mech suits? You know, I think when I first heard about this, I'm like, oh, you guys are doing your own take on Warhammer, because the way the suits were described to me, and they're not dissimilar, but they are not. It's not like you looked at, you know, Warhammer 40K and went that.
Yeah. Eric can lead off with this, because you had a pretty distinct design sense in mind when we started talking about it.
When I was first thinking about it, before Mike was even in the equation, my role-playing game reference was Heavy Gear. In my head. That's kind of how I viewed the suits, was not these Titanic mechs. Big though, you know, but definitely more exosuit than big robot. And for the ships, the first thing in my head was, well, these are basically Vogon ships, right? they're just big bricks in space. Beyond that, other than some odd notes scribbled here and there, I didn't have a lot of.
But you're being. I don't think you're being disingenuous, but you're ignoring or unaware of. Oh, hello, Cameo. Is that Betty?
That's KO. He hasn't seen in a few days.
Eric is, I think, either not aware of or not acknowledging sort of a subconscious influence that was at work, which is there's also a reason for the design.
Okay.
Right. Which is it's the Eternal Empire. And like there should be a whiff of authoritarian empire to this. That the block design is both Vogon in that you look at it and you go like, that's not a spaceship. That's a skyscraper that they stuck engines on the bottom of.
And a gun.
And a gun on the other end. Yeah.
I had a weird reference to, I actually kind of caught some of the Vogon stuff. My brain went also connected it to the Sulaco from Aliens. And not just because I'm a big Aliens fan, because as much as I love that movie, the Marines and Aliens are kind of like a colonial suppression force. They put down colonial uprisings. And when you look at the Sulaco, it's basically a big gun that drops other guns onto the planet.
Yeah.
You know, so there was a lot of that when I saw it, which, again, being a massive Aliens fan.
Well, and that's the subtext, right? So it's all well and entirely true to say, you know, these were sort of the design things, but the underlying tension there is no. This is a fist. This is and the empire. It's an eternal empire. Empires are not eternal. So definitionally, if you're 10,000 years into something, they've been doing something to stay in power. And that sense of brutality is actually part of this series. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Bean.
Well, now I won't remember what I was gonna say.
But it was incisive.
You had said earlier that, you know, the first issue does a lot of heavy lifting, but it's not with words. It's in the design concepts. That's one of the elements where you're like, okay, you see this big space block, and the uniforms and these, you know, like almost ancient looking.
I'm so sorry. I meant to hit my mute button to cough, and I hit that. I hate my life.
And now you don't have to go up. Yep, there it is.
What's that sound cue for?
It wasn't meant to be. Our preamp came with preloaded sounds that I've never changed, and
looks like he's gonna lose
right next to my mute button, so no one can hear me cough. But instead, you got the late night, you know, rim shot there.
There you go.
Okay,
that's good.
That's all right. We don't use that one enough. So
you know what?
I think it should go into the rotation. Yeah, this is pretty great.
I agreed.
Pretty good. I'm gonna kick
Yes, yeah. There's an almost like brutalism aspect to this empire, and with that visual cue, you don't have to sit there and explain. This is a really authoritarian regime who's been, like holding control by force for 10,000 years.
Yeah, when I got the sort of breakdown of this universe that we're going to be building, I bought an 800-page book of Soviet brutalist architecture, and that sort of soaked into everything: the ships, the buildings, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That could be a subject for a later show, by the way, guys. Talking to writers and artists about all the weird shit on their bookcases now that inform a project. Because, like, mine has, I've got a ton of Soviet stuff and Russian prison tattoos. I have like 5 volumes of descriptions of what Russian prison tattoos.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was for the Vasilov source book back in the day.
It's like a quick little random sidebar, but years ago, it's weird. IDW put out a Transformers series called All Hail Megatron. And it's all taken from Soviet propaganda posters, and it's kind of righteous.
Yeah, those were good covers.
Yeah, really good covers.
I know that there's this fun little bubble on the cover, talking about the cabal of space witches and other things that should be drawing the reader in. When you're looking at this on the shelf, instead of that, they should have done Soviet prisons, Russian prison tattoos, and oh my God, I just went blank. The other one that you were just heavy metal.
Yeah,
Heavy metal.
Although I can't help it. Every time I see the cover, I just do the voice. It's like Imperial Vixen, Space Witch.
Yeah, no, that we call that screamer text.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, and I'm not, and this is crucial to remember, of the 3 of us, I am the not design at all guy, right? I am at best the I like it or I don't like it or here's an idea guy. Mm-hmm. But I'm also the guy who's like, no, the screamer text needs to be bigger. And I can see both Eric and Mike being like, no, composition, balance, cover. But
so here's the grid. It on. Stop breaking the grid.
Yeah.
Give him the George Lucas notes of faster, more intense.
I just and those should be we're setting up a running gag for one of those that hopefully by the time we get to about issue 12 or 13 will pay off nicely.
Oh, so, excellent.
Yeah.
Speaking of design, the other thing that I really enjoy personally is that all those straight lines and heaviness of the empire is so beautifully offset with the ephemeralness of the Cassandras. Mm-hmm. How did you guys get to that character type, the Cassandra?
I think I can't remember. It wasn't me. I can't remember if it was Eric or Mike who had the idea that they're wearing light, like the garment is sort of like Rimmer from Red Dwarf. Mm-hmm. They're wearing solid holograms.
Jor-El from the original Superman.
Yeah,
I can see that for sure.
Yeah, sort of prism-y effect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we knew about the Cassandras is that, and this is, I don't want to skate over into spoilery territory. They're and you get some of this in the first issue, right? There are not many of them, and all of them are kept by the Empress, right? Like if there are 100, and I think I would have to go back to our notes. I don't think there are many more than 100. They're all at court on Throne World, right? She keeps them very close because they are the equivalent of, your telepathic cabal, right? What's going to happen? And then they all come and they say 98% probability of this. And you make your decisions that way. It also means that anybody who wants to put a knife in you has to get past that ability. Mm-hmm. So they are both an incredible strategic asset and an incredible power asset, and they've been around for thousands of years. So now you see this mythology building up around them, because the Empire, as you see from the map, spreads, right? It's throughout the galaxy. There are 100 of these. Nobody ever sees them, right? The forged units are more common, and even forged units are extraordinarily rare. So the idea that they are these mind witches, right, is absolutely something that's cultivated, and you can see how you get from that to and we're all appallingly hot, and absolutely know what happens when, I mean, when we stand in front of you not wearing very much, we know exactly what's going on in your head.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? Like, we now know we just opened a lever to mess with you. Whether you wanted us to or not, you cannot ignore the fact that you can see my nipple. Basically.
Right.
And yeah, it's tactical. I mean, it's tactical. I quite like the fact, Denise, that you used the plural, because we did have some people going like, wait a minute, there's this Cassandra, and then why is there a Cassandra on the cover issue too? Then it's like, did she escape? It's like, there's more than one.
I thought that was pretty clear.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty evident.
I thought so too. Who was it who described her as lingerie Darth Vader?
Lingerie Darth Vader. Yeah, I don't remember where I read that now, but I love it.
As it is, the speech balloons around them, in my mind, when I'm looking at that, the Cassandras speak in a plural voice.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the voice of one woman, even if there's only one Cassandra in the room. I imagine it being the sound of multiple women's voices saying the same thing in unison.
Good.
Awesome effect.
I had a similar feeling, and just being the big dork in my head. For those who know the Clone Wars, they sound like the witches of Dathomir to me, where they're always kind of echoing what each other says as the primary Cassandra is speaking.
Mm-hmm. There's some whispering. You're going to get to see more of them later. Yeah. Like second arc takes us back to the heart of the Empire.
Cool.
So you're going to see the Empire in all of its decadent glory, and see how, in particular, poor Vic deals with it. So,
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, in terms of the design of the character, I know we had a couple of conversations about it, and then Mike turned in sketches. And
we were like that. Yeah,
that's that. Perfect. So a lot of the heavy lifting on the design stuff is just down to us kind of giving some fairly detailed, like, here's what we're thinking to Mike, and then Mike goes and does his wizardry.
I was going to ask him about the suits that they wear.
I mean, basically me saying, can you lower the hem a little more on that, please? just a scooch,
a little more leg.
Yeah.
That made me think about the suits that the Ford, what they wear. There's a lot of, when I read it and I see it, there's a lot of primal elements to those suits. They're very utilitarian. There's not a lot of bells and whistles, at least when you look at them. But they all have elements of, this is something you shall not mess with. They're not sinewy. They're not kind of like that kind of lean robotic look that is then terrifying when they move quickly. Something that big should not move that quickly. And then even in my own brain, even their helmets, trigger childhood fears, because all I fucking see is Maximilian from the black hole, which is goddamn terrifying. That's one of the greatest monster robots ever in cinema.
Yeah, those freaking blades, man. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to forget those blades.
The death of, I forgot the actor who played
Anthony Perkins.
Yeah. His death is, in my brain, still one of those violent things I've ever saw. And all you see him is scream and some paper fly, and you hear the brrr. Yep. But I know, we all know what's happening, and it's horrifying. Yeah. In Disney's attempt at making Star Wars.
Yeah, it wasn't just shredding paper.
No. So like, Mike, what are some of the thoughts that went into that process of creating of creating these suits?
Unlike the Cassandras, I took a lot of swings at that one. I did 30 different sort of approaches to that, just so a scattergun approach, and then we sort of just picked and chose elements and sort of super glued them all together. And yeah, like you said, Aaron, they're sort of leaning towards that utilitarian. I mean, they're tanks, they're nuclear missiles, right? They're not designed for anything else than flattening a planet. So they had to have that sort of threatening aura about them, but all be distinct, and so you can tell them all from a distance. And yeah,
they all look like they are the same technology without looking like they are the exact same thing.
Different models for different specialty skills.
I think what impresses me most about this, Mike, is that in this age where everything is a Gundam model, when you say giant robot or giant exosuit, these look nothing like that, and they look very original. So very, very impressive.
Very cool. Yeah, we that. It's in keeping with it's function over form. Seems to be the guiding design element for certain aspects of the Empire.
Yeah. Now we know what brutalist exoskeletons would look like.
Yeah, and again, when we get into the second arc, you're going to see what happens when form dictates function, because on one of the things that we've got going on in that arc is you're in the throne world. The most important thing the greatest status you can bring is show the Empress something she's never seen before. Right? So that's all about, it's nothing got into function is absolutely out the window. It's literally, just something that will make her go, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen that before. Right. Bored now.
Now I've seen it. Moving on.
Yeah. So,
speaking of form versus function, I'm reminded of the officers on the ship in issue 1, at just the absolute opposite world in terms of the grunts, the ground troops versus just these absolute space fops. I'm like, oh my God, have you ever actually lifted a weapon in your life, sir? with your fancy mustache, with what is it, beads? Beaded mustache? Oh, definitely highlighting that sort of
it's the gym scene, right? I was going to say, did that speak to your time in the service there, Denise? Were you like,
oh, do not get me started on my opinions about officers.
Yeah,
we'll be here a while.
There's I'm sure. Well, if you were in the service, I'm sure you've seen it. It's like the Marine Corps rules for gunfighting in wartime, and it's like 101 things, and it's bring a gun. Bring all your guns. Bring your friends. Make sure they have all their guns. Right? It's like 100 of these. They're very funny. And then there's the United States Navy rules of gunfighting and warfare, which is 3 steps: adopt an aggressive offshore posture. 2, deploy Marines. 3, drink coffee. And that was sort of the tension between service. I was hoping we would be able to model with those officers, but good times. That inter-service writing is always.
I'm waiting for Ryan to chime in on the chat now with the slight dig on the Marine. Oh, he just said fact.
Yeah.
If you really want to make fun of someone, my vote is either the Coast Guard or the Air Force.
I mean, the Coast Guard does kind of work. They have a scary job right now.
Yes,
they're dealing with drug runners.
No, you know what? I take that back, because at least you know that the Air Force kids are very smart. Navy kids use a stationary bike. I know that there's a logistic reason why you can't run a 2-mile evaluation when you're on a naval ship.
I'm loving this chat here.
The stationary bike is so laughable.
Well, that's Urzagot. That has been my friend since kindergarten. And take 10 years in the Navy. I think
Yep.
it was.
I only
Well,
ever
it's
make fun of Coasties, Ryan, because my ex sister-in-law was a Coastie, and she was an absolute princess. So just the idea of her also being a service member was just never really worked for me. But enough about my judgments about the branches.
Oh no, then you're gonna really like the next arc.
Oh, excellent!
Because there's all sorts of you get some inter service stuff and and romance. There's some romance in the next arc.
No.
Explosions.
Those
A
go
team
hand in
member
hand.
dies.
Spoilers.
Not one that you think.
It says in the back of this first issue that Joe loses an arm again.
Yeah.
Everybody
It's
needs
like-
their hobbies.
Yes. There's a line in that issue, in the second issue, about needing to install a zipper on
Yep.
Joe.
Speaking of which, do any of you have a favorite character of the women wearing the suits?
So the low hanging fruit there is Harpo, right? It's hard not to love Harpo. I had a moment, having never played the game, right? I had a moment after we were well into development of finding out about the Metal Gear Solid sniper character, Quiet or whatever,
Right.
and going like, oh shit, people are going to be like, oh, it's just it. And that's not what's going on there. And actually, you get some insight into that in the second arc as well. But we did something in issue 5, and then Mike, as he does, like, here's the thing: Eric and I will break an issue down, right? And we'll each go off and we'll write our pages, and then we'll send them to each other, and we'll glue them together, and we'll get I'll go through and I'll try to format it all so that Mike can then ignore our formatting easily to his liking. And we'll tweak lines, and like I'll write stuff and then put in brackets and basically say, Eric, put in smart bit here, and he'll, that's a literal thing I've typed.
That is the thing.
And then I'll get it back and he will have done, right? And so we knew we were doing these scenes in issue 5, and we sort of broke them up, and I ended up writing this one with Hap. And I hadn't had a really great handle on Hap yet. And Eric had done a pusher scene that I had read prior and had actually, like, I've known Eric now a really long time. The only time I've seen Eric close to tears has required, and I'm not exaggerating, him emptying a bottle of Buffalo Trace in one evening alone in one go, right?
That's
Like,
a hell of a night.
It happens.
and it was needed. There was a reason. And I read this pusher scene he wrote, and I was tearing up when I finished it. Like, I was really choked up. And I was like, dude. So I had to write this Hap scene, and it's not, and when people get to it, they're going to be like, big deal, I don't get it. But what it did was it opened up sort of this door to Hap, who was the one of them that I hadn't really gotten yet, right? Like, and right now, I just adore Hap. Right now, I want to spend a lot of time with Hap. So, because some of them are easy, like Vic is easy, right?
Right.
Mm.
And Joe in a way is easy, though one of the things with Joe is that, and we were talking about this as well, is Joe's got this flag, right? The flag is great, big, strong, dumb one. But she's obviously not the dumb one, right? And at a certain point, we haven't written her moment there yet, because that's when you kind of need to wait for. There's a bit of ancillary information about Joe. I think it'll appear in the back matter of issue 2. And it's just a little throwaway about one of her citations. And it's for completing, like, some sort of massive war game exercise in 14 seconds. Like, this is one of those things where they literally spent hundreds of billions of credits to get all of the armed forces in on this, to set up this massive war game that was going to cover all these sectors. And they said, go. And Joe went, boom, pow, over, done, just done. And everybody was like, okay, I guess we're going home.
Right.
And that's not, you can look at that and you can go like, well, of course, that's Joe.
Mhm.
But you also look at that and you go, but that's also brilliant. Right? The ability to see, I hit this right there and I will shatter the whole fucking thing.
Right. It's funny
Um,
because my favorite so far probably is Joe, but I never see her as the big dumb one. And like, as people are presented, I'm like, no, there's something going on behind those eyes. Like, she is big, she will fuck you up, but that is not.
there's a
that
reason
is
she
not,
and
I
Vic,
hit him with a rock person.
there's a reason she and Vic are this tight, right? It's there's a reason she's the number 2.
Yeah.
And it's not because she'll say yes, ma'am.
Right.
So
And then
Curious
for
what
Harpo,
makes
I
you
love the
crazy.
idea that a sharpshooter has a shitty poker face. That's just something I find very amusing.
what was that? Eric?
I'm curious what Mike's answer to the question of who his favorite is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also lean towards Joe, but from page 1, like I knew she wasn't the dumb one, and obviously Vic's the one I live with the most, and so she's easy to love because I've drawn the most pages with her. But certainly, I think Joe is definitely my favorite to draw, and kind of like trying to tease out moments in her body language that aren't necessarily in the script, but like I know are there, because I'm however many pages in with this character too, so I know her maybe in a slightly different way than you guys do, but trying to get those little character moments that aren't in the dialogue and trying to tease those out a little bit. And I think we hit that in issue 5, and I'm kind of really excited to see that her moment later on. I'm really looking forward to that. So I think Joe is my favorite. Harpo's close though. I really love drawing Harpo.
You actually
But I'm
see
with
some
Greg.
of that.
I also didn't click with Hap until pretty recently too, because I didn't really know her well enough.
She's the engineer, right? Us lay people look at engineers and think Dilbert. It's hard to fall in love with Dilbert.
Well,
certainly.
And the flip side of that, right, is how is she looking at the world?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And one of the conceits that the series, one of the things we're asking you to buy in the series is that these women have, yes, it certainly has gotten harder. They're these rarefied, genetically selected for purpose women, right? They've clearly from inception, right, were designed for these roles, reached a viability stage, were allowed to proceed, continued to be checked and proceeded and checked and proceeded, right? And all of them in theory are picked and built for their specific roles. So the mindset of the engineer, right, of the individual who is looking at everything in terms of structural tolerances, efficiency, physics, chemistry, right, everything there, and what's driving that engine is a very different, it's a very different fuel than what's driving a Vic or a Joe or a Harpo or a Pusher. You didn't say who your favorite was, Eric.
Yeah, that's true.
Pick your child.
Thanks. The obvious answer is Crazy Joe, because part of what got this whole ball rolling was the poker scene, right? That was we had discussed earlier, we'd had some trouble with that first issue, and I had sat down and just opened up Notepad and banged out maybe a page, maybe 2 pages, I don't even remember, as prose of the poker scene. It was the 6-stick gorilla line that was like, okay, I know this person.
Yeah.
I get this, and this is fun. And she's fun.
See, that's not the line that does it for me. I love the line. The line that does it for me is Joe's response to that, which is the heart wants what the heart wants.
There's a real pragmatism at play there. Yeah.
And not an ounce of shame, the way Mike drew it, right? She's just looking at her cards being like, heart wants what the heart wants. If I want a 6-stick gorilla, I want a 6-stick gorilla. I'm not apologizing. Right?
I enjoy writing her because she, in many ways, very, supremely skilled at her work, which is serious work. But unlike pretty much all of the other team members, she's appetites, right? Like she's not a slave to them, but she ain't going to resist them either if there's an opportunity. So I enjoy the sort of freedom of that mindset when it comes to writing. Although I will say, we were talking about these bits in the next arc.
There's a bit in the next issue that's a great Joe bit, actually.
Yeah, you only have to wait a week to read. Thank you.
Yeah, it's and to let Eric know the one I'm thinking of, it's the bit where Joe's like, expert tracker, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she's sarcastic. She's her personnel file shows lots of citations for insubordination and basically
shockingly.
All she needs is a does not work to potential on her report card, and we're the same person in a lot of ways. But I found like she has a scene with another one of the team members that'll appear in the next arc that, avoiding spoilers, is possibly one of the sweetest, most sentimental things I've ever written. So the range of all of these characters, it makes it hard to pick. But yeah, if I had to pick, I could probably narrow it down to Joe and surprisingly Pusher. I didn't feel I had a good lever into what makes her move around until we got them out of the first arc and into the next, and it was like I had some room to explore who they are a little bit, and it's like, okay, now I get her. I still have, Hap is a tough one. She's a tough nut to crack. Oddly, Vic is a little hard for me.
See, and I totally get Vic. I'm all about Vic. Yeah. So
that's why we're co-writing.
Yeah, no, and this is why I don't counter it. It's funny because we're talking about, and I suppose in a way this is bad storytelling, right? Is to say when you get to the second arc, you see all these things about these characters, but that was kind of what we wanted, right? We wanted to bring you in and shoot a bunch of monsters and blow things up and have some fun, and then once you got to ride the roller coaster for a little bit, you could, come settle down and you got to spend some time with them.
Right.
And that was part of what we needed to accomplish in the second arc. And I really am I'm very pleased with the way all of that's panning out now. So,
that's a good question though. I haven't been asked that one yet.
Well, that kind of brings me to like a lot, like some of the stuff that like I end up writing. Sometimes I'll let the artist really dictate scenes to me, and then I will make adjustments accordingly. Like, Mike, have you ever gotten something from a script and is like, this needs way more time or a lot more panels, more pages. I'm going to go for it and see how they react. Or do you?
I haven't really, because of the nature of the magazine format and the number of pages that we get to play with. I haven't really run into that yet where I've needed to add anything. To sort of stretch a scene out. It happens all the time on other comics, but not this one. No, I haven't.
Cool.
Well, these first 3 issues are very fast paced. I don't know if that's going to continue to be the vibe moving forward, or if it was just because this first little section is.
It catches its breath a little bit more in the second act. Like these first 3 are. Yeah, I think that's a fair description. It's buckle up and stay for the ride.
Very much so.
Mhm.
I was surprised every time I made it to the last page. I was like, "What? Oh, already? That was quick."
Yeah.
But it's 40 something pages each for each one.
Yeah.
It's so quick, actiony.
Well, and that space is actually one of the things that I think lets it go so quickly, because it allows us to give Mike room, and that room sort of allows for the pace to oddly increase.
Yep.
And yeah, the second arc has its bigger moments, but it is slower. The pace, it is a catch your breath, set the higher stakes table, fill in some information about the world, about what's provide some context, and spend some time with the characters so you have a better idea of who it is that we're going to be making miserable next.
You have to get to know everyone a little bit better before maybe somebody's not.
Before you're going to
right.
start breaking readers' hearts, kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yep, exactly.
The other thing I wanted to point out while we're still tangentially on the topic is like what a wonderful use of the 2-page spread. So many great spreads. Like I don't feel like you usually get that many 2-pagers per issue, but you need them, right? Because the situation is so big with the monsters and the ships blowing up. And people's
The scale
minds
of the
being
ship
taken out of
also
the scale
calls
of
for it.
yeah, it's a really big world that once again you don't explain to us, you just drop us into it, and so really really good use of the pages there to just like really let you take it all in very quickly but very beautifully.
I think Mike did this beautiful job on those opening pages where, like, when you see the Triumph, at distance, and it just looks like it's a little spaceship. And then you get the close up, and you're like, no, it's not. It's a brick.
It's
But-
massive,
Yeah.
but it's in space.
But the thing that helps with that is that next to that, you have like the Chiron saying, like, this is, her Eternal Majesty's endless radiant triumph. And, here's some technical data. And here's the crew number. And it's over 30,000 people. and when you see that, you're like, okay, that's big.
Mhm.
Right, that's a lot of people crammed on that thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I'm curious how comic shops are reacting, but I have personally fallen in love with this physical size and format and wish more comics were like this. I don't know. It feels like a good value, and I just like reading it this size.
It's an appallingly good value. It's a shockingly it is actually too good a value. We are not charging enough, and I am not saying that to go, hey, buy two. I'm literally saying, no, I've looked at our numbers. We're not charging enough. We may have to change that unless people buy more, right?
Okay.
So it's extraordinary value. As Eric is fond of saying, you're getting 3 comics worth of material for the price of 2.
Yep.
Some books you're getting 3 for the price of 1.5. Depending on who you're buying from, if you're spending $2.99, $3.99 for a 20-page comic, this thing was 64 pages.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I would pay $9.99 for this.
Yeah,
it's
that's generous. I feel it's a little too high for us to ask, but
well,
we
what?
shall
Now
see.
that you've given everyone an almost free taste.
Yeah, we're going to suck
yeah,
you in
that's
for the
the
first
goal.
3, and then we're going to
Yeah.
jack it up for the next 3.
First taste is almost free.
Yeah.
I have a question directly for Mike. Talk to me about your relationship with your colorist for this book.
So Nolan and I saw his work on some of the Star Wars stuff that Marvel was doing when I was working on Daredevil, I think it was. Yeah, Daredevil. And Marvel had asked me to do the Dead Man Logan series, and I was like, I want that guy because I think he gets my stuff, and I just love what he did, and we just hit it off on that book, and everything was just. I never had to ask for changes. It was real smooth. And yeah, we had a great experience there, and I knew I wanted him for this, and it shows from page one, I think.
I would agree with that. Like just going through this and listening to you talk about the research you've done on brutalism and the aesthetic that you're going for with this. This is a colorist that also understands what you're drawing, and it complement what you're doing and what Nolan's doing complement each other very, very well.
Agree.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, we had 250 pages or so under our belts together, and I knew he was gonna pretty much get what I was going for without me having to ask. Specifically with the Cassandras, because that was kind of the linchpin of the whole thing. If the Cassandras don't work, none of it works.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, he knew what to do with that. I mean, I gave him like 2 sentences, like, this is what I want, and that's it. He didn't really have to go back and tweak anything.
And I love how different her room is compared to the rest of the ship. The rest of the ship is very utilitarian. It's so very
Brightly
beige.
lit.
Yep.
Beige. Yes.
Yeah, it's beige. It's the color of space.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different palettes. There's the Cassandra's personal spaces. There's the rest of them, the main parts of the ship. There's the oh my god, what is the name of the Gehenna, the planet that they're on. Each one of those different settings has a different palette, and each one of them is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Nolan does exceptional work.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nolan is his grasp of color theory is next level.
Excellent.
And, I mean, it's if we're going down that line, and Nolan has done extraordinary work. I want to call out Ariana too, our letterer, because I think she.
There's a lot of work going on there.
Well, and she's just dynamite, and I don't know like how we hadn't found her earlier, but she is. We were talking about the Cassandra speeches and so on, and that was we said in effect, with this dialogue is in an effect, and she executed. So we're very fortunate that everybody is firing on all cylinders here.
Yeah, that also comes through in Harpo's relay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and when they're speaking with their helmets on, also there's so much going on here, you guys.
Cool.
Well, that's always a challenge with the military book because everybody's in the same uniform, right, or suit of armor or whatever. Like distinct silhouettes is so important, and then adding the color coding of the dialogue, and then all of the work Nolan brings to it to help differentiate them. It's like it made us writer guys look a lot smarter than we probably are, but
we're not. We're just lucky.
Yeah, we're it's really gratifying that like everybody involved seems to get it, and there isn't a lot of there are odd correction here or there. Somebody missed a detail, or oops, we forgot to turn this layer on, or whatever. Like that always happens, but it's not a lot of people not grokking what we're trying to do, and that's a huge.
Yeah, there's definitely a synergy between all of you that comes through, and just like a really smoothly and beautifully told story.
Considering what a collaborative art form comics has to be, it's why I enjoy talking about comics so much, because creating any one piece of artwork in any one medium is hard enough as it is. To get multiple artists doing their own thing to put together one book
and it come out cohesive.
Yes, fascinating. And the more it makes me wish the general public understood that more. That it's like, oh, we don't just print these and hey, it's done. It's like this is insanity.
I've
it
told
should
people,
not work this way.
Weeks and months.
I've told
back
people
and
before how many creatives are involved in making a single issue, and they look at me like I'm out of my mind, like I'm making it up. I'm like, no, it's not like it's just the writer and the artist and then comics. Like that's not how it works at all.
I got an idea, guys. Let's put on a show in the old barn. Yeah, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, go on.
I distinctly remember the moment when I realized that I was about 9 years old, and it was the first time I'd read any kind of biographical information about a specific comic creator. And I remember just distinctly that switch being flipped. I was like, wait, there isn't just some machine that they press the button and this stuff comes out. Like, I can't be the only person who as a kid had that perception.
No, I did too.
I was just, yeah.
They just make comics.
They just
Yeah.
just make
Yeah.
it.
So you got to wonder, like, how many people had that thought that never had that moment until much later in their lives. Are like, oh shit, no, that's human effort. You know, like
Right. Yeah, people have to do something to make that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then revise it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then revise it.
Right. I think we got to get close to wrapping up here.
Yeah.
We do. So any last thoughts, you guys?
Aside from thank you for having us,
Yeah.
and it's nice to see you all again. And it's been way
Yeah.
too
Great.
long.
I mean, I had one quick question, but I feel like it's going to get us going again. But
And save it for next time.
Go for it.
I'm going to go for it. Maybe we'll save for next time for when this happens. So how much was the potential of the Forge role-playing game sitting in the back of all your heads while working on it?
It actually wasn't for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no,
Oh, wow.
it actually wasn't.
Really?
Wasn't.
Oh.
Have you read your own back matter?
Oh no, but that's just what we do.
I'm holding out for the TV show.
Yeah, that's just what we do, Cable. That's just
Uh-huh.
that's literally just what we do. We just make back matter.
That's why it weighs so much. Is the back matter.
See, it was a quick question then.
Well, I don't know. They can answer it. I don't know. But Eric may have already written the supplement. I don't know.
He may have.
It's
like, no.
on this one, not so much. When Greg first started involving me on the production side of Lazarus, that's immediately where my mind went, because it just seemed so rife for gaming. Just there's such a rich environment for it. This one is a little tougher because one of my personal touchstones for it is like Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon stuff. Like, so this is a setting where you can have giant, horribly beweaponed office block ships, but somebody somewhere on some luxury planet lives on a floating island with unicorns and stuff. Like, trying to balance a game where literally anything is possible sounds like a task I don't want.
When you get rifts and no one wants that.
Exactly. Not the way I think about games and not the way I like to game. But that approach to the world building is the same, at least for me. So that's why the back matter, for example, was like, we're going to drop a lot of terminology in the issue and let people catch up. But it'd be nice to have sort of if not a glossary, another window into what it all means. It seemed like a good way of doing it. But
Oh yeah, there's some books I read last year that did the same exact thing. They drop you in. There's a lot of terminology, and the context is what gets you through it.
Mhm.
But it is still nice to have that little glossary in the back.
So for the first time in many years, I actually watched a good chunk of A New Hope, the first Star Wars movie, a couple days ago. And I remember at the time when it first came out, it was so unlike anything that had ever been in theaters that I'd seen. But I was watching it and paying close attention to the dialogue and how the universe information is being handed out. And I was like, how did I understand any of this? Like,
Yeah.
It's so ingrained now that you're like, oh, I remember over in this novelization, it explained this. And in the comics, we got that. And Starlog magazine did an entire article about this other thing. And, I was like, so I think we, at least in my case, it was accidental, but I was that method of parsing out universe information was sort of kind of done in a more concentrated form in our first issue. So, that's part of this whole thing is it's a big blender of our influences, and pouring the cocktail out and getting something different. But I don't know. I don't know how much Star Wars has informed your take on it, Greg.
I don't think it's Star Wars. If it is Star Wars, it's not in any conscious way. I mean, I'm a huge fan of contextual world building. And I mean, 50% of what anybody is saying in any of these books at any given time is nonsense words. Right? And yet if you put the nonsense words in the right sequence with real words, people walk away from it going, I understand that. And I guess the trick there is for us to know the world well enough to be able to shorthand it, because that's really what that, and this is not accounting at all for the enormous amount of heavy lifting that Mike's art does, that Nolan's colors do, that Ariana's letters are doing, and in particular, right, what Mike's art is conveying. But Eric and I always, and this is always the goal in any world building, right? We know just enough to be able to hide stuff from you. Right? Like, we always know enough to be able to keep our best cards hidden, but to show you enough to keep looking for the trick. And
it's a good way of putting it.
And that's sort of the secret to any world building, right? Is if I can give you enough so that you don't go, fuck it, I'm out of here, this makes no sense. But if we're giving you enough where you're going like, I don't fully get it, but I'm really into this, right? Then we've got it right. So, and I think that both Eric and I are of very similar inspiration background ages, right? We are fed by a lot of the same things. So yeah, the natural touchstones for things like that are absolutely, Star Wars. But, it doesn't necessarily even need to extend to science fiction or science fantasy. I was thinking about Raiders of the Lost Ark just a couple days ago, which probably is always going to be my absolute favoriteest movie ever. And I think probably one of the greatest pieces of filmmaking ever. And I think I was looking at it because I had seen like the new official trailer for Dial of Destiny. And even in Raiders, you see the same thing, right? It's the same method of world building and storytelling. There's factual information conveyed. We know the year, we know the Nazis, we get it, right? But stuff about who Jones is and what he does is all assumptive in the opening of the movie. Who the fuck is Belloc? But apparently they've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Jock? We never see Jock again.
No.
Jock is never seen again. It is clear he and Indy go way back.
Yeah.
Right? They're on a first name basis. So like Jock is to Indy as Sala is to Indy.
Well,
right?
And then there's even like that throwaway line that Marcus has, who said, if I was younger, I'd go instead.
Yeah.
And he's like this, dean of the archaeology school, where you're like, wait, did this guy get into some adventures back in the day too?
Yeah. What was he doing in India? So, I mean, like that kind of storytelling is bread and butter storytelling to me. And you can see it extends to original Trek in many ways. You don't know how original Trek becomes original Trek. You just tell us that, there's the United Federation of Planets. Okay.
Right.
All right. More, please.
Yeah.
There's a neutral zone. There was a war with the Romulans who we've never seen before. Okay, not sure how that works, but that sounds great.
Oh, shit.
Right?
They look like Vulcans.
Yeah, right. But it's that same thing. And Roddenberry didn't invent that, right? It goes back and back and back. And I think it's funny because I cite all of those, but if I think about it, the influences to me are literary influences, and they're Douglas Adams, because that's all that Hitchhiker is. Right? Yeah. That's all of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it's William Gibson. It's Neuromancer. Right? It's reading Neuromancer and going, I don't know what. Literally, he's talking about things I don't know how to even say these words. But I believe everything he's telling me.
Mhm.
So I don't know what a Zaibatsu is. It sounds bad. You know, he says it's bad. It's bad. It must be bad. I don't know what Zeiss Nikon is. I recognize Nikon. I don't know what Zeiss is. You can put them in your eye? Okay, why not? Works for me. I'm going to keep reading, you know. Chrome doesn't really burn, does it? Okay, well, flip. You know, so
Just go with it.
yeah. I'm here. I bought the ticket and I'm enjoying the ride. I have no reason to leave. And that's the goal, right? If you guys enjoyed issue 1 enough to pick up issue 2, we've succeeded. And on and on until we finish. You know, we're planning 15 issues. And then ideally at that point, depending on our appetites and an audience's appetites, there's more we can do.
Right.
But we have 15 planned, and I'm gonna write it out.
Cool. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap up the show too.
Yeah.
Greg, Eric, Mike, thank you so much for popping on.
Thanks,
It was
guys.
good to see everybody again. It's been too long and all that.
Yeah.
Again, issue 2 comes out Wednesday the 19th, along with the second printing of issue 1.
Mhm.
With
And-
a really cool Cassandra cover.
Yeah, well, I
Nice.
saw I think I teased the cover on the promotion for this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they'll be signing at Kazamonkey Comics from 4 to 6.
We're gonna need a lot of silver Sharpies for that cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just realized black Sharpie's not gonna work on the Cassandra cover.
And unfortunately, silver Sharpies don't last as long as black ones, I've read.
No, you need to lay in several.
Very frustrating.
Yes. Untrustworthy pen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining us. That was
Thanks.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Always
Oh,
great.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Oh, wait, Cable's got an
Greg, Merrick sends her regards.
Hey,
She sends her best or her worst, whichever.
no,
works
it
for
would
you.
be. It's not inappropriate. Give her a big hug from me. I haven't
Will
seen
do.
her in forever.
Actually, just got a text from Jen, my Jen, who said, "Say hi to everybody for me."
Hi, you're John.
Again.
My partner didn't say anything.
Well,
Greg and,
tell him
Greg
we
and
didn't
Mike
say
will get
anything
this.
either.
Greg and Mike will get this. Jen says she will plan another crafty night with the ladies. So
Excellent.
that's a
Good.
little super inside baseball there. Anyway, thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks for joining
Yep.
us.
All right.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
See you next Wednesday.
Good night.
Bye. Hey, actually, we do need to wrap up the show though.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
That was really fun.
It was.
Yeah, Restream can handle 3. It's good to see.
Excellent. We should have had them on earlier.
Just for the whole show.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
We should have.
There was a lot to go over. I'm not even like this is not me making a joke about how Greg goes on, even though he does. We all know he does. But just there was
He
a
knows
lot to
that.
discuss.
He admits that every time.
Yeah, no, I
But you got a
just
solid
want
hour.
him to know that I'm not making fun of him. He'll know when I'm making fun of him. And with
And
that,
on that note,
And on that note, I am Aaron Duran. who's
I'm
still getting used to saying his name correctly. Sorry.
Beta Rita.
and I'm still Gable Hashitani.
And we will speak to everybody next week. Thanks for listening, friends. Bye.
Buy the book.
Yeah, get it. Serve the Eternal Empress.